FlySafair. This airline plays a pivotal role in the domestic aviation market, facilitating travel across the entire country. Since its launch in October 2014, the airline has captured 60% of the domestic market, filling the void left by the collapse of at least 11 other domestic carriers. Beyond South Africa, it operates flights to destinations such as Zimbabwe, Zanzibar, and Mauritius, though these routes make up less than 4% of its total flight capacity. Over the past year, the airline has garnered positive attention for one achievement, being recognized by the Cirium report as the most on-time regional airline in Africa and the Middle East. However, in this video, we will not delve into the controversial incident on December 26th, which saw aviation experts, politicians, and some defending its contentious handling of an altercation on a Durban to Cape Town flight. Mainstream media experts often justify the airline's actions, regardless of public criticism. Instead, let's examine the recent overbooking controversy. A consumer recently took to Twitter to question why the airline accepts payments for 300 passengers when there are only 200 seats available. In response, the airline admitted to overbooking, explaining that this practice helps keep ticket prices affordable. While acknowledging the inconvenience caused, they claim to offer compensation to affected passengers. Industry experts defended this as standard practice, but some consumers strongly disagreed, citing violations of the Consumer Protection Act. These critics questioned how the airline could truly compensate someone for missing an important commitment, such as a job interview, due to overbooking. Section 47 of the Consumer Protection Act states, if a supplier fails to provide goods or services on an agreed date or time due to a shortage of stock or incapacity, the supplier must either supply equivalent goods or services to the consumer or refund all amounts paid, including prescribed interest and incidental costs, unless the failure is beyond the supplier's control and they took reasonable steps to inform the consumer of the issue. FlySafair's claim that they compensate passengers suggests compliance with the Act. However, there is ambiguity about how this compensation is applied in cases of overbooking. In response to criticism, FlySafair shared an article they claim offers more context about overbooking. However, the article pertains to US flights, which generally operate on a first-come, first-served basis, an approach that doesn't align directly with South African consumer laws. Here, consumer protections are intertwined with existing regulations across various sectors. This disparity has prompted the National Consumer Commission to launch an investigation into FlySafair's deliberate overbooking practices. The airline openly admitted to overbooking flights, leaving some passengers stranded, claiming this strategy helps keep flights affordable for passengers. However, this assertion appears questionable. Since the collapse of Mango, Kulula, and British Airways in South Africa, FlySafair has dominated the domestic market, with ticket prices soaring to unprecedented levels despite their justification of affordability. This airline has violated more than just consumer protection laws. An investigation by the International Air Services Council revealed that an Ireland-based company, Air Service License Aviation Holdings, effectively owns the airline through an investment holding company. The Council's findings relied heavily on evidence submitted by FlySafair's competitors. One such submission highlighted disclosures in Air Service License Aviation Holdings' 2020 financial statements, where it acknowledged Safair Operations, FlySafair's parent company, as its subsidiary, with a 74.86% ownership stake. This was further corroborated in the company's 2022 financial statements, which confirmed control over FlySafair subsidiaries. According to the International Air Services Council, this arrangement contravenes South Africa's Air Services Licensing Act. The Act mandates that aviation license holders in South Africa maintain a minimum of 75% local shareholding. In other words, airlines operating domestically must be predominantly owned by South African residents, with the 75% ownership requirement extending to voting rights on airline management decisions. The Act was enacted to ensure South African shareholders and investors retain control over the country's aviation industry. Additionally, the International Air Services Act stipulates that airlines operating internationally from South Africa must have substantial local ownership, generally interpreted as a minimum of 51%. The local authority has several options: cancel or suspend Safair's aviation license, impose fines or penalties on the airline, ground FlySafair's flights until its shareholding structure is brought into compliance. Alternatively, grant the airline additional time, without sanctions, to resolve the issue. potentially by selling shares to local investors. This situation could be disastrous, given FlySafair's critical role in facilitating domestic air travel across South Africa. To date, neither the International Air Services Council nor the Air Services Licensing Council has imposed any sanctions or determined mitigation measures against FlySafair. Following the Council's earlier ruling of non-compliance, FlySafair filed an urgent application for an interdict to challenge the decision. In the meantime, FlySafair maintains that its ownership structure complies with both the letter and spirit of South African laws. The airline has reiterated its commitment to full compliance with all applicable regulations. They also emphasized their continued dedication to serving South African customers, noting that their operations, leadership team, and primary focus remain firmly rooted in South Africa. The ongoing inquiry into FlySafair's shareholding structure began in October 2022, spurred by formal complaints from competitors like Airline and Global Aviation, which operates Lift Airline. An industry insider and one of the complainants to the International Air Services Council argued that competitors are simply seeking fairness and consistent application of the law across the aviation sector. According to this source, FlySafair's majority foreign ownership provides it with access to international capital, enabling it to fund operations and growth at an unfair advantage over competitors, an arrangement the source claims is entirely illegal. The International Air Services Council was expected to release its full ruling and any sanctions against FlySafair by the end of November 2024. However, the matter remains sub judice, with sanctions yet to be announced. The airline continues to operate as usual, despite ongoing violations of regulations and disregard for South Africa's licensing authorities. Their defense rests on pursuing extensive legal action, if necessary, to maintain their ability to serve the South African public and economy. In essence, they appear intent on exploiting loopholes in the nation's constitutional acts to secure a larger market share while benefiting their foreign owners. South Africa is known for having one of the best constitutions globally, with laws governing it hailed as exemplary. How FlySafair manages to sidestep corporate governance rules and operational standards remains a puzzling anomaly. If the airline emerges unscathed from this situation, it raises questions about fairness. Shouldn't other South African airlines also have the opportunity to expand their shareholding structures? Global investors, including entities like Emirates and Qatar Airways, with substantial financial resources, are ready to invest in local carriers. However, existing laws currently prevent them from doing so. If such disparities persist, it may be time to re-evaluate and amend these laws to enable other airlines to attract foreign investment, leveling the playing field for all.